Hello, Renee Flamand here. I know this might be bad news for many of you because you might be in the throes of it right now, in the thick of the back and forth and trying to work it out, and he did something wrong or she did something wrong and you caught them and you're trying to work it out and da ba 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 ba. And you hear it a lot. When you watch the experts, you hear it a lot, and they'll say it's just never going to work with a narcissist, especially once after they let that mask fall off. Once you see them for who they really are, it will never work again. And I'd like to try to explain this in a way that perhaps I would have responded to. And saved myself so much back and forth. Because we often try again. We think we can handle it. We can get past what they did. You know, now that you've seen them, you've seen the real them. That's what I mean by you're seeing the real them now. The love bombing is over. They've done something wrong, and you now see the real them. The problem isn't even you seeing them. It's for them that you saw them. That's why it will never work. I'll explain what I mean. We tell ourselves anything and everything we can think of to keep us there, put us there, remain steadfast to our commitment to them that we had made in our hearts. We try to stay. We go back and forth. We tell ourselves anything. I'll try to forgive him. Oh, but when we're so on. This is something special. I love him. I love him though, and he's so cute. I mean, we'll tell ourselves anything, right? The problem is, well, there's a lot with our narrative that's problematic, and we'll get to that, but we forget the other part of the entire equation, regardless of what we tell ourselves. And you can add to the short list I gave you. No matter what you tell yourself, we forget about the other part of the equation. Him. Right? Oftentimes when it's an injured party, the burden rests on us. Will we forgive? Will we trust again? Will we allow this relationship to continue? They don't like that you have seen them now. They don't like it. We're not giving them any thought. We're assuming, hey, we're going to stick it out and say this list of wonderful things and feel this list of wonderful things and try to go to therapy and try to be there and do this and do that, and it's going to work out. They can't work it out once you see them. That's why it will never work. You can do anything. And again, I'm sorry if you're trying all this right now. They've already checked out. Or they're beginning to check out in doing whatever they did. They've essentially dropped that mask and have begun to check out. More accurately, they had already begun to check out and therefore misbehaved. Even if you can get past it, they can't. Again, I'm going to tell you why. You may convince yourself that you'll take him broken. You'd rather have a broken him than a non-broken new somebody else person. A fresh start with somebody sounds like the worst thing in the world for you. I'll just keep him broken. There was a transgression. I'm going to go forward and just forgive him and we're going to work it out. They, however, will never, ever be able to handle how you are inevitably going to see them from now forward. Post-act of disaster. They can't handle it. They know they were here and now they've fallen. They need to be up here. They like to be viewed as up here, revered at all times, especially by his partner. And you know it too, but you're convincing yourself otherwise for all the reasons we now understand, right? What's truly magical, this part really just makes me so mad. We spend our time and energy and effort at this point convincing them that we can get it back. Convincing them that we'll be okay, because they'll feign being really upset. Mine did. And now you find yourself, you're telling them you still love them. You're comforting them. That in time you can forgive them. That you will see them the same way again. I promise. Don't say that. We can get it back. We're in the beginning stages when this happens. I mean, in the bargaining stages when this happens. We're in the bargaining stages of anything that you're going to try to say to convince him that it's going to be okay. We're trying to be their cheerleader, which is hilariously ironic. We're the injured party, and yet we're soothing them as they act so upset for wronging us. We find ourselves soothing them. I did. Oh yeah. Big tears. The very fact that they know they've wronged us is why it will never work again. They can never, ever, 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 ever take back what they did. They just can't, ever. So it stands to reason that they know it will always be looming over the both of you. Now, a non-disordered person or couple could indeed get past something, I think, that they go through like that. You work on it together. You arrive at a new place together. You know, you work it out. It can happen. We've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. We all have. But with a narcissist, remember, a vital part of them being in any relationship is they are seen as the end all. Well, guess what? That's shot. That's shot. They know the truth really is, regardless of what you say, that you will never see them the same way again. Regardless of what you think, regardless of what you promise. So their path of devalue continues because now they want to wreck it. So they have a built-in permission to move on. And maybe not even part ways officially, but move on. And then behaviorally, because they're with devaluing actions and more devaluing behavior. They will. They've got to get theirs. Their ego fed is when I say theirs, that's what I'm talking about. They know it's not happening with you. I know you think, but I never once, denigrated him, or I haven't said mean things to him, and he did it and we talked about it, and I haven't been mean, I didn't fly off the handle. You're not listening to me. They know you know. That's all that needs to happen, because they know you can't see them the same way again, and you don't, and you know that you don't. It's impossible. It's impossible to see somebody in the same pure way you thought you were trucking along with, this purity, this blissfulness, this romantic entanglement that knocked you off your feet, and boom, you got a bullet between the eyes. That's a terrible visual. Je m'excuse. I don't like that visual at all. But you get whammied, and it's, wow, this happened, and it flips you a 180. You'll never see, it's impossible to go back to the bliss. You may arrive at a different place. You may decide to stay and work through whatever it is that remains in your brain about it, but you'll never not know it had happened and see them the same way. They can't. And if I had realized this, I would have kept that door shut the first time I closed it. Honestly, if I had realized all of this, this would have helped me. put the way that I said it, put the way that my brain finally can think of it, put the way that I finally explain it out loud to myself and therefore you. If I had done this and could get here a year ago, I don't think I would have done any, or at least it would have cut down on the back and forth, I think, considerably. Maybe I wouldn't have shut the door and moved on. I'm way too much of I have a lot to say person. I doubt I definitely always had something more to say, so I want to be honest. But I definitely think it would have cut it down. The period was gone for any kind of happiness being possible with him once he wronged me the very first time. It was gone. Now again, some of you are working back and forths right now. And so I challenge you to say to yourself, okay, you're making your list of things you're saying to yourself, things you're saying to him, things you're going to do together. You're going to go to therapy. You're going to talk every day, a lot, 2 hours a night, whatever you're doing, what you're trying to do. You're bargaining anything you can think of, offering things that you never thought you would, anything, right? We beg, we cry. Why'd you do this? What do you need from me? Like, we put it on us. Stop that. And I want you to look at him. Think of him. Or her, whatever your pronoun is. Think of your partner. Could they survive knowing that regardless of what you say, you know you'll never get back there and they know it too. Could they survive knowing that? The answer is no. And that's why once the narcissist falls from grace, it never works out. It's impossible mathematically. Now some of you, I knew a couple, they stayed to get works out. I mean, when I say works out, I mean successfully, happily, everyone's happy. We already know the narcissist behavior never changes, and they're doing things behind our backs before we even discover it. So even if you think they're behaving, we know their patterns, right? So if you're involved with a narcissist, whatever they did to you, that's not the first thing they're going to do to you. It's not the 10th, it's not the 20th. It's just the first time you caught them. It's the first time you discovered something. That's the physical leg of the problematic behavior that they carry with them. That will always be happening. Now you've discovered it. And now they know you've discovered it. I'm telling you, my narcissist would say right out loud, that was the biggest thing that upset him. And it would make him very upset. You are never going to look at me the same way again. I just know it. I miss the way we used to be. You used to love me. You loved me so much. Because my behavior changed drastically and dramatically with every single infraction. We went through our own ebbs and flows. I wasn't being my happy-go-lucky, cheerful self. So he was missing that leg of it, and that is what he used to say over and over again. And when he said it, I knew it too. And I knew then, I didn't even know about narcissism, but I knew then just by the kind of person he was. That's why I'm saying, look at your partner. I knew just by looking at him, I go, he could never live with that. Because part of what he loved was how I saw him, how I treated him, how I revered him. He knew that was gone. And I knew it was important to him. It's important to some people, narcissists or not. Some people want to be like way up here. They're not happy just being everyone's all right and in the middle. And no, they need to be. And I knew that was his personality type. I should have listened to that instinct, intuition, and kept the door shut. You can save yourself a lot of time. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. And again, I'm sorry if you're right in the middle of it, but just give these things some thought.